edition of Visual Radio Live. Blue Oyster Cult has a song, The Last Days of May, and that is what we are in, the last days of May. There's a Book Expo America going on in New York. Should I go down this weekend or should I go to Winchester Day? Leaning towards Winchester Day, but I might be in Manhattan. Don't know. It's just kind of that way. The views and opinions on Visual Radio Live. Those are the hosts and his guests, Josh Deveau tonight and Frank Dello Stritto. And not necessarily those of the WinCam Board of Directors, staff, management members, people of Winchester. I want to thank Jay Gold. Jay Gold is my director tonight. Thank you to Sean O'Brien for our technical support and DVD. DVD is spinning as we talk. I'm supposed to call Spanky McFarlane. Spanky's one of our guests, as you know. Sunday will never be the same. I'm in terrible voice tonight. This is a marvelous 4 CD box set that's sold out. The complete Mercury recordings, and I just love it, and I love the little booklet inside. So it was in my car, so I just like having props. But Charlie Farren has one of his best albums ever, the lead singer of Fahrenheit, lead singer of the Joe Perry Project. Aerosmith is playing tonight. Aerosmith is tonight at the Boston Garden. Jimmy Buffett is out there in the Great Woods thing, whatever it's called. But Jimmy Buffett, I heard, is going to be at this Aerosmith show tonight. So what are they going to do? Bring him by helicopter from Mansfield, Boston Garden, play with James Taylor, Carole King, Margaritaville, go back to Great Woods, whatever. So unless I misread it, that's what's going on. Okay, where's the booklet? There's a nice little booklet in the Charlie Farren, which is traveling somewhere in my car. Inside the Charlie Farren record, because Charlie Farren's record is in my CD player in the car, The Manhattan Blues Project by Steve Hunter. You can read my review absolutely free on the internet. Just Google Steve Hunter and TMR Zoo, or tmrzoo.com. It's right on the front page. Steve Hunter, the great guitar player from Alice Cooper, Lou Reed, Peter Gabriel. What a wonderful blues record. Speaking of Aerosmith, Steve Hunter and Dick Wagner, Dick, our previous guest, many times our guest, they played on the Get Your Wings album by Aerosmith because Bob Ezrin, who was working with them quite a bit, had them on the Get Your Wings album. Well, on this album by Steve Hunter, Manhattan Blues Project, you got Johnny Depp, the actor, with Joe Perry and Steve Hunter doing a shuffle. It's the loudest track on the record. Otherwise, it's kind of cabaret jazz, which is just really extraordinary. But there's a loud shuffle on here with Johnny Depp and Joe Perry playing together with Steve Hunter. Now, there's a trio that probably will never make another record again. So that's on that. And then there's another two major names. A guy from Megadeth and another big name on the Steve Hunter record. And there's Alice Cooper sidemen on it because, of course, Steve played with Alice Cooper. So it's, in fact, I think the guy on the record got into the Alice Cooper group thanks to Steve Hunter. So, but Charlie Farren, back to Tuesday. Tuesday is a song written by Brad Delp. I knew Brad. I used to manage Mission Control Studios in 1988. Mission Control is where the New Kids on the Block launched. It's where they cut their second album. They cut it in 3 studios, if I recall. Mission Control, Blue Jay in Normandy, Blue Jay in Carlisle, and Normandy Sound in Warren, Rhode Island. So I was managing Mission Control. One morning I hear this incredible voice. There's David Brown, the guitar player for Billy Joel, producing, and there's Brad Delp. I said, my God, it's scary waking up this early in the morning and hearing one of my favorite singers. And Brad Delp said to me, it's scary hearing me at this hour in the morning for me. And he was recording Tuesday. So I was actually there at the recording session for Brad Delp's version of Tuesday. He never put it out. So Charlie Farren asked the estate if he could record Tuesday. It features Charlie Farren on acoustic guitar and vocal, Cameron Stone on strings, and Anthony J. Resta on sci-fi mumbo guitars. All right, now Anthony J. Resta, you all know, he's been on the show in Burlington, on this show, taped in Burlington. Anthony J. Resta produces Duran Duran, and he's producing our good friend Mark Farner of Grand Funk Railroad. So this record sounds great. Like I said, longtime Charlie Farron friend. Charlie and I are colleagues, we're friends. But listening to his whole body of work, which I've heard his entire body of work more than most, I really like 3 or 4 tracks in this record jump out as phenomenal. So good work, charliefarron.com. Brand new, just got it in the mailbox, just like I got the Steve Hunter thing in the mailbox. So our guest is here. Josh Deveau is here in the studio. Filmmaker, as is our director, Jay Gold. Filmmakers meet and unite here at WinCam. And welcome to WinCam, Josh Deveau. Hello. Microphone number 9. I'm on microphone number 8 for those who are counting. And we're having a lot of fun here on Visual Radio. At the end of the night, we're going to talk to Frank Dello Stritto about the Phantom of the Opera. 1925, sorry Frank, I was 10 years in advance. It was the 1925 version we're playing tomorrow night here at WinCam at 9 o'clock, our movie night. Hello, Josh.
Hello. How are you?
We have movie nights here on Friday.
That's
Public domain.
I love movies.
So, you have a website.
I do have a website. It is joshdeveau.com. My first and last name, .com.
Deveau. No relation to Julie Deveau of WROR.
No, not that I know of.
Dear friend of
It's
mine.
possible. It's possible.
Julie Deveau and I were at a radio meet in November 17th last year with Charlie Farron at the Simmons College. So we were speaking, but Julie Deveau is almost, it's like your name is Deveau without the Evero.
That's right. My 4th grade teacher used to call me Devereaux. I never changed it. Throughout all of 4th grade, she called me Devereaux, and I never had the heart to say, oh, you got it wrong, but...
Because that's the common, that's the name that's commonly known.
Yeah.
There's water there if you want it.
Oh, I will have some water.
I went to After Earth last night.
I didn't know that.
It's the new Will Smith movie where he wrote the story, and his son is in the movie. It's basically him and his son through the whole film, but it's M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh.
Do you like him?
No, but that's okay.
I'm going to say this. My reviews can't post till midnight because it comes out tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
But the screening was last night for the critics. So I can say this. I'm leaving the theater, and one of the critics is like, I hate M. Night Shyamalan. Hasn't made a good movie since Signs. Well, I didn't like Signs that much, did you?
I mean, I saw it. He hasn't made a good movie since The Sixth Sense. Let's keep it at that.
I disagree with the critic in the theater with me. I really like this movie. What I like, there's Star Trek posters, okay? Mm-hmm. This is big. M. Night Shyamalan has what I love about sci-fi. Big spaceship, big buildings, just big. And you're looking at the screen, everything is like huge science fiction. I loved it. Didn't realize it was him till the end of the movie. So I think this is his best since Sixth Sense.
He likes those twists, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good film. So after I met you at the record meet on Otis, you had a film screening.
I did, yeah. I actually had two official film screenings back in May, in early May. This is still May. In the beginning, it was the 2nd and 3rd of May, I had 2 screenings. And those went well, and I had... At Massachusetts College of Art, where I just graduated last Friday.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
The graduate.
Also graduated with departmental honors. So I don't know what that means. I guess I'm good at what I do.
Departmental honors, how many people get that?
15% of every department, every graduating department. So.
Did they tell you specifically why you got departmental honors?
No, I mean it's for outstanding achievement in the department, based on what faculty thinks about you. So faculty likes me.
That's good. The film screenings, what was the name of the film at the first and second screenings of the same film?
It was the same film. It was a new movie that I just made called A Week Off, an Even Better Movie, which is a sequel to a film that I made back in 2011 called A Weekend. A Weekend, a Very Good Movie, the actual name of it. It's on IMDb. The new one isn't up on IMDb yet, but it will be soon, as soon as I start entering it into festivals. So.
I did not know you could broadcast on IMDb.
Not live. Maybe you can. I don't know.
Oh, you said it's up on IMDb?
Well, I have all the information on IMDb.
Oh, I
I'm
see.
pretty sure you can watch the first movie on IMDb. But all of my stuff is available on my website in full.
Oh,
So
very cool.
no need to go on IMDb to find my stuff.
Just go to joshdeveau.com.
JoshDeveau.com. It's perfect.
So, how long is the new movie?
The new movie is almost exactly 1/2 hour,
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
And how did you film it? What did you use?
I used the Sony EX1, just one of the cameras that they have available at the school, one of the many cameras available at the Massachusetts College of Art. If anyone's looking at art schools, that's the place to go.
Now that you're
Advertising.
do you well, you can't. Well, is it a nonprofit?
I don't know.
Oh, we can only talk about nonprofits on here, but that's okay. Can you go back to the Mass College of Art till you get cameras as a filmmaker?
I don't think officially I could do that.
But
No.
you know what you can do? You can join WinCam. I can advertise a nonprofit because we're nonprofit. You could join WinCam even though you live in Malden.
Mm-hmm.
And MATV, have you been over there?
I walk by it almost every day, but
Yeah.
I've never been in.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah.
They're great. You missed a good party down there.
Yeah, I was gonna go to that, but I didn't make it. It was a hectic time, getting everything arranged
school.
and together, and yeah, it's
Well,
been a
the-
busy month.
The upside about that is it was so busy at MATV, you would have met people and you would have just flashed in front of them because they were running around crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Food, I mean, I go to these public access parties. They had food, it was good food. Then after your stuff, they brought in great food and it was
Wow.
like, oh, can't eat this, can't touch it. Alfredo, all sorts of stuff from like John Brewer Tavern. Brought all this like wonderful food in from Malden. They were on the Malden line. My folks used to live over there before they moved to Florida. Right on the Malden Metro Wendy's.
Okay, yeah.
Across the street from Wendy's, John Brewer Tavern.
Oh, okay.
So they have artists there, they have musicians, and they brought in all this food to MATV. So the public access stations are where, Jay Gold's a movie maker, I'm a movie maker. There's a lot of filmmakers here.
Awesome.
And, public access, and we love talking film, so I'm really happy that you're sharing your experience with us.
Yeah, that would be great. That's been my biggest thing. I started writing a new movie, and I haven't really started to think about how I'm gonna shoot it yet because I'm still in the writing stages. But definitely having access to equipment would be nice.
Well, I'm a member at 5 stations, so I'm a member in Cambridge, Winthrop. Like, WinCam didn't have the cameras I needed, and I went to Winthrop because I'm a member there and I can get a camera out there. It's a bit of a drive, but the camera I needed, they had. And when you don't have equipment at a station, it's great because that means the members are all taking it out.
Yeah.
And it's a very healthy station. And this Saturday is WinCam Day. No, Winchester Day. Winchester Town Day, people. So the cameras will be out in the town. It's a big festival in Winchester. They shut the streets down. There's all the stores are there with food and the goods and whatever. And we walk down the street with the cameras and talk to people.
I've never been out here before. It's a nice place.
Well, you're getting ideas for movies here, aren't you? You
Yeah.
see the waterfall.
There's so much. I don't even think about it that way anymore because my mind has such a cinematic thought to it. I just think about movies all the time. So yeah, I think about movies.
As you go up Mount Vernon Street, there's the long and winding road I'm on every day, and there's the reservoir. So there's people that, it's the fells. So you've got all the forest there and the beautiful water. It's a reservoir.
Yeah.
But Winchester has so much to offer. And I think it's underutilized as far as films go. Yeah.
Now's the time. They're asking for it.
Where did you tape or film?
All my big movies. So I made 3 kind of big movies. My definition of a big movie is a movie more than 20 minutes. So I made 3 over 20-minute movies while at Mass Art. All 3 of which I shot in my apartment in Malden, and that is partially a reason why I made the last movie a sequel, because I thought, I'm going to be shooting in the same space. How am I going to make it seem like a different movie? I said, I know. I'll make it a sequel. A new family moved into the apartment, and it worked.
Well, Honeymooners is an old show. I don't know if you've seen reruns.
I've seen a few, yeah.
And very popular when I was a kid. I was like 5 or 6, so I didn't really kind of watch it, but you'd see it, and it was really for the older folks. And it was Jackie Gleason, and it was funny, and Art Carney, and they always use the same set, like the Golden Girls. And if you have a great script and really great actors and actresses, you can do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to turn this whole style that I have kind of into a TV series, but I don't have the finances for that. And it takes a lot of time just to make one 30-minute piece. So I need a big crew, and I don't have a big crew. I don't like big crews. I like working by myself.
Yeah, but see, we're doing 55 minutes right now with 3 of us and a technical director, so that's a lot,
Yeah.
and we're live. But yeah, I'm just saying, it's just kind of cool. These are really wonderful cameras here. And
Yeah, I didn't look at them.
and Jay's very impressive. He just did a movie on the hypnosis, hypnotism, World Hypnotism Day earlier in the year. So he just did his film here and edited here. Where did you edit? At home?
Yeah, I edit at home on my computer. I use Avid. I'm not good with Final Cut, but I'm very good with Avid. Unfortunately, it's hard to find jobs that want you to work with Avid. Everyone wants you to work with Final Cut. It's a difficult thing I'm trying to get through, but
They teach it to us here.
Avid?
Final Cut Pro.
Oh yeah.
And iMovie. iMovie's easy.
Yeah, iMovie's easy. Actually, iMovie's too easy. I can't use iMovie. I can't
it's
figure
too
it out.
easy.
It's different. It's not the same. It's set up differently.
When Apple gives the free courses for Final Cut Pro that the Apple stores give,
Hmm.
they want you to know iMovie just to have a fundamental understanding of it.
Well, I think the new Final Cut 10, really wasn't popular amongst professionals because
Oh.
it was too much like iMovie.
Really? Okay, I've not experienced that one yet.
Yeah, that was the big word of the school last year. I don't know if I can say any of that.
Oh, you could say that. You just can't tell people how great the school is.
Oh, okay.
I can. But
Oh, great.
did you enjoy Mass College of Art?
I did, yeah, a lot. It was actually the second school that technically the third school that I've gone to.
New England Institute of Art, did you go there?
No, I first went to the San Francisco Art Institute in San Francisco, and I stayed there for a semester, and then I came back here.
When did you go there?
Fall 2007.
Oh.
Yeah, I've been in college for a few years.
So,
It's nice to be
2007,
done.
you're in San Francisco, so that's, number one, it's been on so many movies already. What, Hulk with Eric Bana, right?
It,
Clint Eastwood.
it's been in every movie.
Ubiquitous. I hate using that word. Ubiquitous.
Yeah, it's been around. San Francisco's been on camera a few times.
And with one semester, what was the school like?
The school was very artsy, not what I was expecting. I was expecting, film school. I'm going to film school. It wasn't like that at all, which I thought I didn't like. But then coming back here and going to another art school, I found out that I don't know how I would do without an art school. So,
What was the other school you went to other than?
Bunker Hill Community College, just
Oh.
for a semester when I came back here because I didn't know what I was doing yet. So I went there. I don't think a lot of credits transferred from that school actually, but I mainly went just so I could keep grounded, stay in school instead of take a semester off because that doesn't always work out well for people.
So now that you've got these movies under your belt, what is your next vision?
Well, I think I want to keep on the style that I have going right now, which is kind of experimental, also narrative, comedy, very experimental comedy, I like to call it. Hopefully get longer. The big goal is to eventually make a feature-length film, which is not as easy as it may seem. Sure, it's easy to make an 80-minute movie, but it's not easy to keep the viewer entertained all 80 minutes, and that's kind of a challenge that I've been trying to get through, but been watching a lot of movies that I don't usually watch and getting inspiration from different directors. David Lynch is someone that I just kind of, I've known about him, but I never actually watched any of his movies until recently, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is why everybody tells me to watch David Lynch. And so I'm really trying to work the way he does with very long, drawn-out scenes and you're kind of like, why have I been watching this for the last minute? And it just works. So somehow he does it right, and I haven't figured that out yet.
Did he do Eraserhead?
Yeah.
I walked out on it.
Because you didn't like it, or it freaked you out too much?
My dear friend Joan, way back in the day, sent you a birthday card and you didn't even send an email back. How dare you? Joan and I went to see Eraserhead back in it was the Harvard Square Theater, which I guess just closed down. The theater, there was a theater in Harvard Square playing all these artsy movies.
Not the Brattle.
One of them, something in Harvard Square I heard just closed down. I don't know what it was. I have to look into it, but it might have been the Brattle.
No way. I
No,
doubt it.
that we saw Eraserhead.
Oh, okay.
So this had to be 76, 77, and I worked for my dad's company. We had a van, and I had the van because I, was the driver. It was great for my rock band, having a van. So Joan stayed in the theater. I said, I have to leave. I could not take it, and I don't walk out on movies ever. I walked out on that, and I walked out on Thinner, the Stephen King movie.
I thought that was a made-for-TV movie.
Thinner?
Yeah.
No, unfortunately, it was at the theater, and I went in 1998. See, I remember that. 1997. Thinner.
So what was wrong with Eraserhead? Why didn't you like it?
Too grim. Too grim. I wanted to be entertained. It was just too squeamish. I just couldn't take it.
Yeah, it's not very entertaining. You have to be ready for it. I certainly wasn't ready for it, but I got it instantly. I was like, oh, okay, so it's going to be like this. Okay, I can watch that. And I mainly watched all of it because I heard so much about it. I was like, okay, well, I have to have references. When people are making references to this movie, I gotta know what I'm talking about. So,
my friend Joan was one of the liaisons to the British punk scene. She was a mover and shaker back in the day, so I guess that's why it appealed to her. I was part of the American punk scene, so I guess I just didn't get it. But you do experimental comedy. Would you call Eraserhead experimental comedy?
I think that's subjective. I mean, I think some people look at Eraserhead and call it horror.
I do.
It frightens people, and I understand. But
It's
that kind of
comedy, though,
that
right?
that kind of thing is funny to me. I mean, I saw a lot of Eraserhead kind of funny. I mean, some of it was pretty disturbing. The alien baby is disturbing. There's nothing really comical about it. I mean, I guess there are a few comical parts, but yeah, I mean, I find maybe, I guess, unintentionally creepy things funny. I collect a lot of creepy dolls. Kind of a confession, I guess, but I have an array of strange-looking dolls in my apartment, and
Frankenstein?
No, they're standard like porcelain dolls, but some of them just have the craziest faces, and I just think, what was the person thinking when they were making this doll? Whoever put this doll together, they were thinking, oh yeah, this is perfect. This is exactly what a baby looks like. And it's not. It's horrifying, and something about that makes me laugh.
So you can have an actor in one of your films, and the porcelain doll kind of like juxtaposed there.
I've actually had in my movie titled The Rosselsons, there is a porcelain doll featured in the movie as a baby. It's the baby child that this one couple carries around with them, and sometimes it shows a close-up of the doll's face, and it's just clearly a doll, and so that was kind of just something that I did with dolls. I have incorporated dolls in my movies. So.
Did the couple really have a baby in the movie, quote unquote, or was it a fictional baby that they thought they had?
No, it was a real baby. Yeah.
Okay.
It was supposed to be, yeah.
Okay.
Right, yeah. There were a few scenes specifically with the baby where people are addressing the baby, and it cuts to the baby's face, and it's just a blank staring baby, and it's funny. It's funny to me.
Have you had any experience with the Mass Film Office?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Okay. In a lot of cities and towns, they have film offices. The reason I brought it up, because you're at the college, I thought you might be, since you're in town. Mass Film Office helps filmmakers. So they help you with location shoots. If you want to use Gloucester, they would have the liaison to the town of Gloucester, I think it's a town, it's not a city. And you go to the Mass Film Office to get locations, maybe some help, maybe to post on their website that you're looking for actors and actresses. And, or it might be the Mass Film Bureau now. I'll tell you why the reason I'm bringing it up. But they also bring films into town, so when you see Matt Damon doing a movie here, he's usually working hand in hand with the Mass Film Office. They do the tax credits so that you don't go to Canada, because a lot of people go to Canada. So that's, I have to get back down there to see what they have to offer today. Google it.
Yeah, I will.
It's got a lot of resources for filmmakers. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I went there. I'm working on a couple of films, of course, and footage goes everywhere and just have it. Okay, I'll get to this. I'm now putting my films in hard drives, and just like the hard drive is going to have the pieces that I get together, you know. But there was a lot of controversy because one of the governors, I don't know if it was Jane Swift or Cellucci before her or whoever came after Swift or Romney, there was a lot of controversy. It might have been Cellucci who combined the Mass Film Bureau with the sports thing. It was like you get sports and film together, and it was a fiasco. So the other people from the film office started their own. Then you had two of them competing, and that was a big fight. Then Nick Paleologos from Woburn had the new Mass Film Bureau. Now I hear he's out and he's down in Jersey, because he was living in Woburn, and he was running it. He's down in Jersey now, so they now have a new head. But I guess it's functional again, and obviously movies are being made in Massachusetts. So the Mass Film Office, though, a resource, every public access station should have a connection to the Mass Film Bureau. It's just a great resource.
Yeah, I'll look into it for sure.
Because then you get the permission to tape wherever you want to tape.
Right.
And you add your apartment footage.
Yeah. Well, that's good because I have a few scenes already in the new movie that I'm writing where, they're in a restaurant, and I don't really feel like making a restaurant setting in my apartment. I'd rather just go to a restaurant and shoot. Much easier.
Go to Phys Ed. Do you know, it used to be My Honey Fits, because I knew Stu very well at My Honey Fits.
Oh yeah, I know
he
that.
He sold it to Phys Ed, which were Phys Ed teachers.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's Fizz instead of Phys. But they're Phys Ed teachers who created Fizz, from Fizz to Fizz. I'm sure they probably, I'm not sure, but there's all sorts of places in Malden to, Applebees was a lot of fun, but we stopped going there. Did you ever go to Applebees in Malden?
Yeah, I've gone there a few times.
They've added, like, all sorts of speakers. They're going for a younger crowd, and there were a bunch of regulars. We were regulars there, and they kind of drove them out. It was like, what are you doing? But they have their marketing plan. But at the Applebees has a wonderful array, or had, I haven't been 6 months or so, of, the fellow from the boxer from Malden, Dangerous Dana Rosenblatt, and hockey players, and they got whole murals and walls in there of these sports stars. So you'll have to find a place in Applebee's for your film and your face, But
that's when I know I've made it. When I'm up on the wall in Applebee's, I can retire.
I just bring it up because it's a kind of a cool thing for Malden, that it's specific to Malden, that they, how many restaurants actually praise but they don't have Norman Greenbaum from Malden. Going up in the spirit in the sky.
He's from Malden?
Yeah, Spirit, you know the song?
Oh yeah.
Ton of movies.
Huh.
I think it's in Contact. Norman's a friend of mine, he's been on the show, he's in California. And Spirit in the Sky is a huge movie song, especially for outer space movies.
Yeah.
Norman's. Yeah, Extreme are playing tonight at the Boston Garden, they're from Malden. You've heard More Than Words. They were big in the 90s.
No, I don't think so. I don't think I've heard them.
They're at the Garden tonight with Aerosmith. And
I've heard of them.
So what do you
They
do
have a
for
few
music
songs.
for your movies?
Music for my movies. So I cast for my composers pretty much the same way I cast for my actors, which is on Craigslist.
Oh.
I've used a few casting websites before, and I don't like them as much as Craigslist. Craigslist gives me a lot of stuff. Sometimes you really have to be patient and hope for the best. Actually, you always have to hope for the best, but I've never had a problem. One person once backed out at the last minute. One person was a no call, no show, but that was the only time it's ever happened, and I've been doing this for over 3 years now, and yeah, so it's nice. It's nice that I have such a reliable resource, and now I have a big network of people. But so I try not to use Craigslist as much anymore. But I like to work with Berkeley students mostly because they have a film score background, a lot of them, and they're nice to work with. They understand what you want. It's not always as easy. The first movie that I did, I worked with a Berkeley student, and she was also the star of the movie, coincidentally, because I saw her picture and I was like, "You'd be perfect for this character." And
So you got the star from looking for a score.
for someone to do score.
Great.
Yeah.
She enjoyed being the star of the movie?
Yeah, she was great. She was great on both levels. And I tried to get her back for the last movie, but she's too busy. She lives up in Canada now, so it's not as simple. Well, that's what we use. So I found two other people, a friend of a friend, and then some guy from Craigslist, and they both collectively did music for the new movie, all within 2 weeks, and they were incredible, and they really kind of saved my butt.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it was. I'm glad they did it. I'm very grateful for them for doing that.
So in a 30-minute film, how many people did you have working on it with you?
Actors included?
Yeah.
Let's see. I want to say maybe 10. As far as the crew goes, I did most of it. I mean, we had kind of a running joke on the new movie where if you held the boom pole at any time, you got a boom credit. So pretty much every actor in the movie, at the end of the movie, you see the credits roll, it has boom credits, and every actor is under the boom credit.
That's cool.
But yeah, everything else, I do the directing, I do the editing, which is my main thing. I really like editing the most.
Really?
I act in my work too. I try to not give myself big roles, but lately my roles have been bigger than I expect them to be. So I'm trying to cut that back a little bit because I don't like to be that guy that I don't want to be another Ben Affleck.
In my films, I use my shadow. You'll see my shadow for like 3 seconds, and that's my little signature. My little Alfred Hitchcock moment. You ever watch Hitchcock do his walk-ons?
Yeah.
And then Stan Lee, of course, from Marvel Comics, does his walk-ons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to Man of Steel in a couple of weeks. What do you think of that?
I don't know. I don't follow superheroes very much.
Oh, I'm a big superhero fan.
Yeah, a lot of people are. I don't get into fantasy very much. I'm more about nonfiction. Although the stuff that I make is very much fiction. So it's interesting. When it comes to reading, I don't read novels. I read like articles about stuff.
That's whatever you're drawn to, Did you see the new Oz movie?
No.
It's worth catching.
Yeah?
It's not great, and we're big on Oz over here. But the thing about the movie that I like the best is he put on the 3D glasses, and of course Sam Raimi, I think it was, he brings you into Kansas black and white, but he's got you in that he's got the hypnotism swirl like the tornado. Best part of the whole movie for me was the opening credits, and I'm sitting there saying this is going to be a classic. And for me, it was all downhill from there. And then you get into Avatar. He lands in Oz, and it's Avatar. And all the colors and everything was Avatar for me. And then James Franco just, they wanted Robert Downey Jr. James Franco's looked a little out of his element with the green screen.
That's the issue that I have with movies like that. Again, I use green screen a lot in my work. My work is very green screen heavy. However, I don't like movies that are just completely special effects. That bothers me.
You don't have actors in Glinda the Good Witch's bubble behind a green screen, and that's where you look kind of goofy, in the bubble. Act like you're in a bubble now, James, and It's tough, but great actors have to overcome that, and he's a very good actor.
I've been told I look like James Franco. I don't know.
Maybe his brother.
I am James Franco's brother.
Oh, good to meet you.
You're
You're
welcome.
Good in Spider-Man. Oh, but you didn't catch your brother's movie because you don't
No,
watch.
no,
You don't watch any superhero movies? None of them. The Dark Knight.
I saw the first. Well, I guess the second
Batman
Dark
Begins?
Knight. No,
the first Dark Knight.
The first Dark Knight.
Not the Dark Knight Rises.
Not the Dark Knight Rises.
Great, good. You have to see the Dark Knight.
Yeah, I've seen that. So I think that was the last superhero movie that I saw.
Why do I think you have to see? Everyone has to watch the Dark Knight. Why?
I really don't know.
I think Heath Ledger's performance was maybe the best acting job I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people said that. A
From
lot of
start
people
to
liked it.
finish.
Yeah.
He was extraordinary. And I'm wondering how many drugs he took to get to that level because it was an otherworldly.
Apparently, a lethal amount.
But that might have been the thing. I think to get to that level, he really did whack himself out of his mind because the body movements, the facial expressions, the tongue coming out, the just the command was so. I saw it in IMAX, and then I went to the smaller theater in Woburn and watched it again. And the movie was not as impressive on a smaller screen second time around, except that Heath Ledger kept your attention. I'm like, wow, it was Heath. But the IMAX is also impressive because you're there in Chicago or Gotham or whatever, and it's like, man. The IMAX had depth that the small screen lost. So that's kind of weird because when it goes to TV and DVD and the internet.
Yeah. I think my superhero as far as movies go would be the bride from Kill Bill. That's I guess my.
I haven't seen Kill Bill.
I would call that my nerd movie. I don't watch a lot of culty movies, but Kill Bill is definitely up there as far as it's the closest thing to a comic book movie that I follow.
And what's the bride all about?
She just wants revenge because she had Bill took her daughter, and she wants revenge on all the people that tried to kill her and tried to kill her daughter, and she thinks her daughter's dead, and it's a roaring rampage of revenge. So the movie critics said.
A roaring rampage of revenge. I like that.
If you see Kill Bill Volume 2, she says that in the beginning. I'm kind of stealing, but it's just promotion, just promoting the movie.
What's your favorite film that you've seen either in the theater or TV recently?
Geez, I didn't think about that one. I'm trying to think of what I just watched recently that I liked. Well, I saw the last movie I saw in theaters was Django Unchained.
Okay.
That was pretty good. Although being a big editor into editing, I know a lot about Quentin Tarantino's old editor Sally Menke, who passed away after Inglourious Basterds came out. And so she edited all of his movies, from Reservoir Dogs to Inglourious Basterds, and then she died. So in Django, I noticed a big difference in editing that I'm sure not a normal viewer would have probably loved the movie, but me, I was like, oh, it could have been a little shorter, and this is a little different, and they didn't add this, and this. There are elements that the editor just didn't do right, in my opinion, based on what Sally Menke would have done. So, but yeah, overall, it was a good movie because I think anything Tarantino does is pretty golden. So.
Do you know about New England Film Studios open up in the Bedford area? We had the owner come in, and he's opening this. I have it up on YouTube, people. In fact, Jeff Dearman directed that. It's on Jeff Dearman's site. Got to clone it from my site. The owner of New England, Chris Byers, is building this massive film studio up in Bedford area called New England Film Studio, so I guess it opens next year. Do you go to film sets at all?
No, I mean, there aren't really any around here. They were putting one up in Devon's, the last I knew. I don't know if that's still going on.
That's the one. That's
Oh,
New
that's
England Film Studio.
Okay.
Devon's, I thought it was Bedford area. Is it the same thing, maybe?
I don't think so.
Fort Devens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe it is. I don't know.
it's up there near Lexington.
Yeah,
Yeah, that way.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Chris Byers was here, so Tobey Maguire was in Winchester with a major actress. They were taping something and they were using the parking lot out here. That was maybe 3 months ago. It's kind of cool to have Tobey Maguire in Winchester. Author Stephen Davis is here. Goes, I want to move here to Winchester.
Yeah.
Like you said, he just loved it right
Yeah,
away.
it's a nice place.
How long you been in Malden?
5 years now. Yeah.
Oh, so you went to San Francisco, then moved to Malden?
Essentially, yeah. There was a little bit of a few months in between where I was kind of figuring my life out, but yeah, basically, San
Figure
Francisco
my
to
life
here.
out every day. I have my sheet.
I'm still working on it, but this was a good way to chill out for a few years and say, okay, well, this will work for now. Still trying to figure out what the new thing is going to be. I don't know that yet.
In San Francisco, is there a different vibe than there is in Boston for like film goers?
There's a different vibe. Period. It's a lot like Boston. I will say San Francisco and Boston are very similar, but actually one of the professors from Bunker Hill, he said it best about San Francisco. He said you walk around San Francisco, and it's a great place, but everybody walks around like they're just on the greatest place. They're just in the greatest place in the world, and they're right. And I think that was the best description of San Francisco. Everyone there thinks they're in the best place in the world, and they're right about it, and it makes you upset a little bit. You're like, oh, I don't want them to be right, but they are. This place is awesome. So
The trolleys.
The trolleys, don't call them trolleys. They're called cable cars.
So sorry. Hey, Boston's getting double-decker buses from Korea, you know.
Yeah, but double-decker buses.
It'll look like London.
Because, you know, the common Boston thing to do is get on a double-decker bus. That's what everybody does. Or one of those trolleys the buses that look like a trolley. Yeah, common. That's what everyone does in Boston, right?
Well,
Trolley is the tourist term in San Francisco.
We're big on public domain movies here. Do you ever explore stuff on like archive.org for what you might want to like fill in or put on a TV?
I've never looked at full movies, but I mean I've used stuff from that site and other archival sites like that.
I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I was always wondering with all those orchestral scores, if it's public domain, the whole thing's public domain, meaning the scores, right?
Yeah,
Could you use them in film, I wonder?
I don't know how all that legal stuff works very well. That's why I just get people to do stuff for me, to make things original, because it's so much easier. You don't have to worry about someone knocking on your door and being like, "This is ours." Be like, "Oh no."
I'm going to look into that because there's some gorgeous scores that cost a fortune to record. If you can play it on public access and you can cut segments of the movie out and use it in your movie, I would think the scores are also in the public domain, but again, I don't know that either.
Well, I know that something like after 50 years, anything goes into public domain except for Disney stuff for some reason. Disney really...
And probably the Beatles.
Yeah, probably
and then the Rolling Stones,
Beatles,
because when you're that big, you can create your own laws.
Well, the Beatles didn't own the Beatles for a long time.
Well, they owned aspects of the Beatles, but the publishing was,
Yeah,
the Dick James thing.
yeah.
And then Michael Jackson. Well,
Right.
Paul McCartney taught Michael Jackson how to buy publishing.
Mm-hmm.
He explained it to him, and then Jackson hijacked
Yeah.
the Beatles catalog. All Yoko and Paul had to do was put up another 9 mil, that's all. It would have probably went way out of control. They kept
Yeah.
bidding. Michael probably called Paul, I'm going to go another 30 mil. Put it way out of reach,
It's funny you mentioned Yoko Ono. She just turned 80 recently.
Did she?
She's one of my more favorite people. I think she's one of the funniest people on earth, and no one knows that. She's she's hilarious, and she's a true artist, and everyone gives her a lot of flack because of John Lennon, and it's unfortunate.
Well, she's highly intelligent, and if it's a double-edged sword, she gets the last laugh because she's one of the most famous people on the planet.
Yeah.
So, however you want to slice it, she has achieved a level of notoriety that very few people have ever achieved. I'm going to ask you one final question, then we're going to talk to our film critic,
Oh wow.
Frank
Okay.
Stritto, from down in Texas. Are you a Dracula fan?
I'm not a Dracula fan.
He's one of Bela Lugosi's biographers. He did Bela Lugosi in Europe, Vampire Over London.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got 2 or 3 books out, and he's my weekly film critic for the past couple of years. We're going to do Phantom of the Opera, people. So my last question to Josh Deveau is, who would you like to meet as a film director? Who's your favorite living film director?
I have 2 answers to that. One, as far as real movies, Quentin Tarantino, hands down. The other one, I actually did meet him, and I got his signature. I'm really highly considering getting his signature tattooed to my body because he's, without a doubt, the best film director ever, the craziest person in the world. Tommy Wiseau, the man who directed the movie The Room. The Room is considered by many the Citizen Kane of bad movies. There are screenings of it every month usually at the Coolidge. It has the same kind of feel as, say, Rocky Horror Picture Show. People throw plastic spoons at the screen, shout out a bunch of different obscenities and stuff, and it's the most inspiring movie I've ever seen. It inspires my work heavily, and I think everyone should see it.
Well, thank you. You're invited back anytime, and we're going to have fun now with Frank.
Okay.
Hope you had fun.
Of course.
I think you're guest number 999 or 1000 or something.
Oh,
Frank
jeez.
Stritto talking about movies.
Frank, say hi to Josh Deveau, filmmaker.
Josh Deveau, filmmaker, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Frank?
I'm fine. Joe, I knew you'd be calling a little late because I was reading up and you've got an interesting guest, so I knew the conversation would flow.
And it's going to flow again because you're here.
Okay.
Phantom of the Opera, 25, you're right.
1925, Phantom of the Opera, a silent movie, and the most famous movie of Lon Chaney Sr. And it was made in
Singer
had
Clarence
troubled
Burke
history.
Jr.
It was made in
died
late
Sunday,
24, and they kept going back for reshooting. Chaney and the director hated each other, so Chaney actually directed a certain scenes, and yada 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 was well on its way to being a mess. Somehow they pulled it out, and it became a big hit. And this is a time when America, I don't know what, Joe, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I don't know what happened on that line there. American cinema is not making a lot of horror movies, and this is an horror movie. So it was a bit of an outsider, and the people loved it. There was no real follow-up, though. I mean, Chaney had made this movie for Universal, and then before it came out, he had moved over to MGM, where he was under contract. So he never made a movie for anybody but MGM after 1925. So if Universal had wanted to follow it up, they were going to have to find another horror star or another star. And they really weren't thinking in terms of horror movies in those days. I don't think it was ever described as a horror movie until much later. And let's see, we've often talked on this show, Joe, about people that you show a lot of silent movies, and so many of them didn't make it into sound. This movie's made 1925, about 2 years before the big breakthrough in sound, but about 4 years before silent movies would be dead. And almost nobody in this movie had a career that survived that. Chaney died in 1930. He would have survived just fine as far as we know. He only made one sound film. Mary Filman, the leading lady, was 21. She was doing fine, but when sound came in, she was out. She would live in seclusion for another 60 years, but she was out of movies by 1929. She was still 27. The romantic lead, Norman Carey, the same story. He's 30 years old. He'll make 6 sound films before he calls it quits. And the director was pretty much out of the business when sound came in. So sound did not do good things for the casting here. For people who have not seen this movie, you have to watch it just to see the unmasking scene. It's one of the most famous scenes in American film, one of the most famous scenes in horror movies. And this is where, Chaney, you don't see much of him for the first quarter of the movie or so. He's just mainly in shadows. And we're well into the movie before we get to see the Phantom of the Opera's face. Now, people who haven't seen the movie have probably seen his makeup because it is so iconic. But you have to see the unmasking scene. And Mary Filman, the leading lady, supposedly her reaction to his face is real because legend says she had no idea what he would look like in the makeup, and that may well be true because there was a lot of publicity, a lot of non-publicity, keeping it under wraps. They didn't want people to see it. It was hard. I don't know if there were any photographs of Chaney in makeup available before the movie actually came out. So it may well be her reaction. And the genius of the masking scene is you get to see it twice. She pulls his mask off from behind, so she doesn't see his face, and we do. So that's unmasking one, and then he turns around and looks at her, and then you see her reaction. So watch it. I mean, even if people aren't into this movie or whatever, watch it.
And who directed that scene? Was that Lon Chaney directing, or?
We'll never know, but I'm pretty sure that would have been Chaney directing himself, because it wasn't too far along before he and the director couldn't stand to be in the same room together. So
who was the director again?
The director's name was Rupert Julian. He's one of these guys he was a New Zealander. Not a lot of New Zealanders in American silent movies. And he had been around from the beginning, so he had done everything. He had acted, he had written, he had produced, and he directed. And his big claim to fame is he was a dead ringer for Kaiser Wilhelm II. So during World War II, he went from one movie after another to playing the Kaiser. And if you look him up on the International Movie Database, IMDb, they've got a picture of him there. And if you know what Kaiser Wilhelm looks like, you say, God, that could easily be confused with Kaiser Wilhelm.
Are we sure it wasn't Kaiser himself?
It might have been, maybe. Well, the Kaiser was supposedly living in retirement in Holland, but maybe he had a double life directing Phantom of the Opera. Maybe that's why Chaney couldn't get along with him. I don't know.
We'll never know.
We'll never know. Why is this movie in the public domain? This is one of the most famous movies in the world, and it's in the public domain. You had to get the lawyers in on that, but Universal, this was 1925. Universal came back in 1929 and they did film some new scenes, but they recut it. They put in dialogue. Chaney wasn't working for them, so they couldn't use Chaney's voice, but they got the Norman Carey and Mary Philbin, the romantic leads, to come in and add dialogue to their scenes. And my guess is the reason this is in the public domain is because with Universal copyright, and in those days you had to keep renewing your copyright, not like today where you do something and it's copyrighted for 99 years or so. You had to keep renewing it. So my guess is they renewed on the 1929 version, but never renewed on the 1925 version. That fell into the public domain. But again, you'll have to get the lawyers in on that because I'm not an expert on what makes things public domain and what not.
So the talkie version is probably a Universal classic that they keep under the wraps.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you watch the two side by side, the 1929 version, which there's two versions of it. There's silent and there's a version with some talking scenes, and the reason they did that is in 1929, a lot of theaters hadn't rewired for sound yet, so you needed silent and sound versions if you wanted to do both, and when I say that it's not silent, there's talking scenes, there's sound scenes, but it's primarily a silent movie with a musical score. So
another 20 seconds, Frank.
Oh, another 20 seconds. Okay. That's about it for this movie. It is a classic. You wish Chaney had made more like it, and keep an eye on TCM because they often play Chaney movies, and he is an actor to watch. And you'll get some of that in this movie, but he was a very versatile actor, played different kinds of roles. Unappreciated today because he's mainly remembered for his heavy makeup roles, but he did a lot more. Joe, I'll talk to you next.
I'll try to get you the movie tomorrow for next week.
You.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
And that's Frank Dello Stritto. Great intellect. Tomorrow night's the movie Phantom of the Opera, 9 o'clock. The views and opinions on Visual Radio are those of Joe Vig. His guest, Josh Deveau. His guest, Frank Dello Stritto. Not necessarily those of Jay Gold and WinCam and Sean O'Brien and all the people here. Hey, see you out there on Saturday for Winchester Day. This is Visual Radio. We've got a lot of guests coming up. Steve Hunter will be on soon. Stay tuned. Good night.